Imagine being buried alive, waking up in total darkness, trapped underground, realising too late that no one knew that you were alive. This is the story of Thomas Meakin, a young man from the quiet village of Rushton Spencer in Staffordshire, who was allegedly buried alive in 1781. His story connects two places: Rushton Spencer, a rural farming community, and the bustling canal town of Stone, where Thomas had gone to work for an apothecary. His grave now lies at St Lawrence's Church in Rushton Spencer, a medieval hilltop chapel nicknamed the Chapel in the Wilderness. Perched a mile outside the village, parts of the church date back to the 13th century, and in its isolated setting, surrounded by fields and yew trees, makes it the perfect place for this story. So what really happened to Thomas Meakin? In his late teens, he'd secured a position as a groom in the service of a Stone apothecary, and for someone from a modest background this was a good job, and it's here that things take a dark turn. According to legend, Thomas caught the attention of the apothecary's daughter. Whether there was a romance or not, no one can say, but gossip suggests her father disapproved, and that disapproval may have turned deadly. In the summer of 1781, Thomas suddenly fell ill and died. There was no inquest. The apothecary, who was the very person who attended him, would have also been the one to declare his death, and within hours Thomas was buried at St Michael's Church in Stone. But the story didn't end there. The most disturbing detail is what happened after. It's said that Thomas's pony, the one he worked with, kept returning to his grave, pawing at the soil and refusing to leave. The behaviour raised alarm among the townspeople, and suspicion began to spread. But it wasn't quick enough. A year later, the grave was reopened. Inside, Thomas's body was found twisted and face down. Scratch marks lined the inside of the coffin lid, and the horrifying truth became clear. Thomas had been buried alive. Whether by mistake or design, he had been buried while still breathing, most likely drugged or poisoned with something that mimicked death. At the time, arsenic and other deadly substances were readily available to apothecaries, and without modern medicine, death was often declared far too soon. After the discovery, Thomas's family had his remains moved back to Rushton Spencer, and he was buried once again, this time in home soil beneath the yews at St Lawrence's. His gravestone still stands, and it speaks volumes. It bears the words, "As a man falleth before wicked men, so fall I," and in Greek a phrase that means violent death. You may notice that his gravestone is the only west-facing grave in the churchyard, possibly an act of folklore to prevent a restless spirit from rising again. Thomas Meakin's death is still shrouded in mystery, but the facts of the case, the exhumation, the reburial, the epitaph, all suggest that something truly disturbing happened, and over 240 years later, the legend lives on. If you would like to learn more about Thomas Meakin's death, or you would like to learn more about St Lawrence's Church, then make sure you head to my website, theredhairedstokey.co.uk.